All right. Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're dialing in from today. Really appreciate the time that you're going to spend with us today. Always excited to present and love talking about energy, carbon, utility bill management. Great industry we're in. Um, just as an intro, tell you a little bit about myself. My name's John Hines. I'm VP on our sales team, in charge of strategic projects. I've been with our company for over 20 years, so have vast experience supporting customers, talking to prospects, being part of industry trade shows and industry groups. So pretty much everything energy and sustainability related. Main focus being support of our EnergyCAP software. This particular webinar that I'm presenting today is one of a short series that we're doing talking about how to build a business case for energy management software. And the one we did previously, and this one's piggybacking off of that, is about how spreadsheets are costing you more than you would pay for software. Really, the whole series, the intent of it being some of the free tools you're using probably are inadequate for today's challenges and everything you're facing in today's world. So consider leveraging software and technology to your advantage, but there is a cost associated with that in license fees and some other support services fees. So this webinar today is focused on tooling that we can provide to you to help you build a business case to go get funding, to get stakeholder buy-in and get approvals. So very exciting topic, a little bit, fun topic today, especially if you're at that crossroads where you're looking to potentially try to do something, or at least state your case and present it to management on why you should free up budget and take it to the next level. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started. The main agenda for the day, we're going to identify the need for reliable data. So what is the real need? Why do you need software? Outline key benefits of software and ROI potential. And what we want to do is give you as much as you can to give you realistic ROI potentials, because the natural question is, well, if you're making the investment, can you expect a return on investment? So doing what we can to prep you and arm you as best we can. We're going to talk about building the financial case. Also cover overcoming stakeholder objections and some things that we put together to help. Also tooling that we will share with you to craft a persuasive proposal. And then lastly, reviewing some success stories and some next steps. So that's the journey we'll be on today. To start, we have 2 poll questions that we would like to ask. So the first one, and we should pop up the poll, so please answer this. And the question is, what steps are involved at your organization for purchasing software? So to put it another way, what we're trying to do is get feedback to see for all of you, what all what are all the check boxes, and you can, answer more than one of these. What are all the things that you need to do in order to purchase software? Again, I've personally been in this space, over 20 years, and it's interesting to me how some organizations really can't answer this. And some of the reason being is the answer is, I've never done this before. I've never gone through a formal software purchase, so I don't know. And that's okay. And that's really the last option there. And we understand that. It's good to understand that ahead of time. So if you are shopping, it's helpful to identify that early on, because our team would help you, and ask some of these questions that you can then go to your purchasing group and others to get some answers, because it actually is pretty important to understand how to buy within your organization. So we're getting some results in. The top result so far is a formal justification or RFP process. I am not surprised by that. We work with a lot of public organizations, and even if you're not public, many private organizations still have formal processes and justifications where you need to get multiple bids and do some due diligence in order to justify, the expenditure on, higher priced items. Next one is buying committee. No, no, no. I'm sorry. The next one is IT and cybersecurity sign off. I bet you 10 years ago that would have not been number two. Not surprising to me to see it higher on the list. We respond to cybersecurity questionnaires all the time. We certainly understand the importance that is placed on ensuring software is secure, especially in today's world where software is SaaS based, cloud based, and so cyber teams need to sign off because you don't control everything behind your firewall nearly as much. So not surprised there. The next one, it's tie, buying committee review and board or council approval. So really, getting buy-in from others, having to go through some formal steps to get approvals from stakeholders. And then the last two, formal procurement involved. So going to your procurement teams, getting them involved, and some honest answers about, I don't know how the process is. So appreciate that. Very interesting to us to see the results here. The next question I'd like to ask is just, this is revolved around, what is your threshold for buying? What do you have the authority to spend on software before you have to go through a formal process? Many of you said that you have to go through a formal process. So do you have the ability to purchase up to a certain dollar amount? This one in particular is of a lot of interest to me because we see a wide varying degree of this. We have some organizations that say like every purchase has to go through some level of scrutiny, and others that say, hey, our threshold's 10,000. The other side to this, by the way, and maybe this should have been a sub question that we asked, but is do you differentiate the budget buckets where funding is being pulled from? So, for instance, maybe you can spend 10,000 in software licenses, but you could spend another 10,000 in consulting services or onboarding or implementation services. Or for your organization, is it all, okay, if you're paying an organization, doesn't matter what the services, what the goods are. It's one value. It doesn't matter. You don't differentiate between the potential costs. Always interesting to learn that, because that's always a key item. If you're going through a purchase and you can avoid some of these processes to delay purchasing and making things more complicated, always helpful to know that ahead of time. By the way, some of the results coming in, it's 15 to 20,000, 20 to 30,000, and over 30,000. So seems like many of you have some autonomy to buy without jumping through a bunch of hoops. And many of you, I'm sure, still, you might not know the limits because we didn't put that as an option. But again, something worth asking in your organization. What's your process? What's the purchasing threshold so you can get things done quickly? Okay, very helpful and very much appreciate the feedback. Where I'm starting today is just talking about spreadsheets. For many organizations, like spreadsheets are the foundation today of energy management and energy data tracking. Certainly understand that spreadsheets are free, free for the most part. You might have Microsoft or Google licenses, but in general, very, very cheap or free to access and highly robust and flexible. And you can build them out the way that appeals to you and to your organization. But also highly problematic for a lot of reasons. They're more siloed, they're prone for errors, more cumbersome to continue building more and more tools and analytics and things like that into the spreadsheets. So for those of you that are still using spreadsheets, we sympathize with you. We understand. Um, what we would offer is basically this, that spreadsheets are rooted in manual processes. They have fragmented data. A lot of times it's based on decentralized, processes and systems. Many organizations we find that use Excel for data analytics also have other systems that are warehousing data. And so it's a matter of double, triple entry of data into multiple systems. Then you get some issues and you're error prone for data quality and data consistency. Um, Managing spreadsheets can be highly time consuming and error prone in other ways. Also, from an operational standpoint, they can be pretty wasteful in that you're spending a lot of employee hours building or troubleshooting problems in spreadsheets and less time actually taking meaningful action on data as you're reviewing it and reporting and analyzing it. Also difficult to continue to build towards sustainability goals and other types of compliance requirements you might have. It's a constant development cycle in spreadsheets. Why do you need, to maybe make the move to a software application in the system? Well, good data matters. Having accurate, centralized data that the entire organization can standardize on and be the framework for everything is valuable. If you have data siloed in spreadsheets, it maybe isn't quite as usable for everyone within your community and all the stakeholders that would want the accessibility to the data. Having good, reliable data also helps with insights and compliance and strategic decision making. You can count on the data, it's good. Having software is really key to that, to ensure that data is accurate, and most software is having error checking and even tagging of who's making changes to data, so you have an audit trail of what's going on. So really helpful, for a lot of reasons to ensure data accuracy, and it's good. And it can also improve uh, business outcomes. So operational efficiency, being more efficient with workflow activities, data throughput, and enhancing reporting and accountability. So a bit of the why software, hopefully that resonates with you. Spreadsheets good, starting to move in the direction of using software, helps in a lot of areas. Now let's talk about the benefits of adopting software. So number one, there's cost savings. We've done some polling of our customers, because we're interested. What are you typically saving? What are the areas you're saving in? Are you not saving? What are some of the results after polling customers from living in the land of spreadsheets, moving to more automated processes and software? Very commonly, every customer is reporting some level of savings. The question is, what is the percent? We had a number of customers reporting up to 10% of annual spend that they're incurring savings. And we'll talk more about the areas that they're seeing savings in, but just let that be a take home that, if you're spending X dollars annually on utilities, you have, a pretty foundational and proven ROI, anywhere from 1 to 10%, up to 10% for just adopting software. The other cost savings are reducing billing errors and avoiding unnecessary expenses. So, that is helping identify problems so then you can, hopefully realize some savings. The other area of savings is in time savings. Now you can equate time savings into cost savings. If you can equate how many hours you think that you're savings and then apply a blended rate of, cost of an FTE or, a full-time equivalent or a person, then you can start, calculating cost savings based on it. But just sheer time savings, our customers are averaging 37 hours per month in employee time. That number also fluctuates. We have some with a lot more time savings and some with less, but an average of 37 hours that organizations get back by implementing software rather than managing data in spreadsheets. So real hard concrete numbers so they can be shifted to higher level priorities, focused on more meaningful activities. It also helps in enhanced report and decision making. So automating of processes, automation of collection of data, bill data, interval data, um, hopefully moving more towards real-time analytics and, making good use of data rather than spending time in just data collection and accuracy. And also, lastly, adding the touch of sustainability stewardship and being able to meaningfully track and report carbon emissions so you can streamline any compliance you might have or even getting ahead of, down the road compliance issues with carbon reporting. The more data and the bigger the data, and the better the data, the bigger the impact, the software will have for you. Where we've been foundational for over 40 years is we start with utility bills. Bills are necessary for organizations. You have sites, you have buildings, you consume energy at these locations. You're getting utility bills. So in our world, we start with utility bill management. So get bill data, acquire it, have the system automatically audit it. You can do allocations to customers, to GL codes, just to spaces. Then there's insights and analytics to allow you to dive into the data and spot problems and savings potential. You can also verify savings if you're implementing projects and do a whole bunch of other activities. But the foundation is software that's helping all of this: acquire, audit, and do analytics. And a lot of that can be actually completely automated. So if you're automating this whole process, by the time you get to reporting and even paying bills, everything's been streamlined and automated so you can do more with your information and just not spending, rather than spending time punching data into spreadsheets and other tools. Once you move beyond bill data, there's the ability to go deeper within your organization. And that's in the form of interval data. So the ability to pull data from sensors, from BAS systems, from submeters, so you can get more live actionable data to make changes immediately rather than waiting for a bill to come 30 days down the road. Just to mention this, like if interval data is new to you, we do have relationships with hardware vendors. So when we talk about this entire thing, building the business case, one of the business cases for you might be, how do we do more with energy data? And more could be in the form of interval data tracking. So if you don't have any level of hardware installed today, talk to our team. We can connect you with hardware vendors that are plug and play ready to load data into our software. And that allows you the ability to get more meaningful, actionable insights today and in real time than waiting for a bill. But that's just part of this whole concept of, you got to start somewhere and build from there to get better data and have a bit bigger impact. Also, the ability, whether you're doing it today or not, I mentioned carbon several times, but getting your data, having the system be able to apply emission factors, market-based and or location-based. You can start tracking scope 3 data. So you have one place to log into and you can do all of these things very easily. Now, what all data can you track? Again, we find organizations through spreadsheets tend to be focused on, like, the core utilities and energy: electric, heating, fuels, maybe water, sewer, fire protection, other water type items, and then potentially waste. What we'd like to offer is track more. If you have software that can, allows you the infrastructure to create commodities and units of measure and track things, I would challenge this: when you're building the business case, maybe think a little larger. Um, your job might be focused on energy, but you might have other team members that track telecom, track waste, track maintenance or snow removal fees. Think of it this way: you have sites or buildings, there's operational costs that go into managing that building. Okay. And operational costs are your number one opportunity to save. They're your number one expense at buildings, they're your number one opportunity to save. So this gives you a snapshot of some of the commodities that our customers are tracking because they are important, cost or use, or resources that they're consuming at a building. And so some of the business case could literally be, well, shoot, if we can get the telecom group in on this and then have one platform that automatically can acquire bills, get it into the system, audit them, and then feed accounting systems, or even, pay on your behalf. Like, now you've streamlined not just the utility and energy business line, but other business lines. And so you can maybe sunset some other tooling that other departments have. Getting others involved is very valuable when building a business case. You get more stakeholders, more buy-in, which hopefully should increase your, the importance of the project, your buying ability within your organization. And some of it is thinking more broadly. Now, some of you, it's like better to start small. If you're using spreadsheets and all you're doing, like you might be the only one in your organization tracking electricity and gas and propane and those heating fuels, like that's fine. Like, start there, create the foundation, and then build. But again, want you to understand, you have a building, you have operational costs that go into managing that building. Any of those items can be brought into this and managed, as part of your journey with the software. So let's talk about building the financial case. Hopefully, it sparks some interest in you to say, oh, yeah, maybe we do need some software here. Or even if you have a different software, maybe EnergyCAP's the right tool for you. We'd be happy to talk about that with you. But at some point, you need to build the case. So on the financial side, ROI is incredibly important. We've helped numbers of organizations over the years, build an ROI calculation and justification. The numbers that I'm going to tell you here are both backed by polls that we've done from our customers. There's also a very interesting Department of Energy poll that they performed through the Lawrence Berkeley National Labs, and they did this maybe 5 years ago, where they polled a number of organizations that have adopted energy management software and said, why did you buy? What features were you looking for? What's the payback? What we're presenting and what we offer is not just what we've come up with, but also what was confirmed in that study. And what was confirmed, typically payback is within 2 to 3 years, like full payback. It can sometimes, we've seen many cases where it's payback within a few months, uncovering issues and a whole litany of things that have happened. But like let's say your data today's in pretty good shape and whatnot, you can still expect to receive full payback of everything you're spending within 2 to 3 years. There's quantifiable savings from energy reduction and error detection. So a lot of the payback is just improvement of processes, finding some things. But then if you're using the data and making reduction, yeah, finding errors and being real proactive on reduction of excessive usage, there's highly quantifiable savings that go on top of some of the other value streams. You should do a cost benefit comparison. So compare, what you're doing today. How many hours are you spending processing data? Like grab a whiteboard and start whiteboarding processes. I've been on site with numbers of organizations over the years, and I have never found this exercise to be bad. It's always good. Where we just start whiteboarding. Okay, utility bills get, released by the utility company. Where do they go? Who receives them? How do they enter them? Where do they enter them into? They go into accounting, and they also go to energy management. Okay, well now you got two forms of bill, collection and entry. Okay, great. What happens then? Well, then they go to this department for approval and this department, and you start walking through these steps. Pretty soon, you're looking at 9 or 10 steps to get bills entered, approved, and paid, where we can help consolidate all of that into 3 steps. So understanding where you're spending time and what the steps are and maybe where some challenges are incredibly helpful. As I mentioned earlier, if you do that and you can calculate some time, you can start to put some numbers to it and say, well, we feel like we're spending this much time. EnergyCAP said we could save 37 hours. Okay, well, you can start building out more ROI comparisons. There's an ROI calculator that we provide on our website that you can have access to, and it just tries to help you say how much maybe would you expect to save, personally for your organization based on some data that you need to enter. So we're providing some tooling so you can do that cost benefit analysis. There's also budget justification. Okay. Always every organization is a little bit different on, how they go through allocation of budget, get budget approvals, all those kinds of things. Really helpful to understand what you're budgeting for operational and capital improvement, budget categories. When I talked earlier about purchasing thresholds, maybe you have different thresholds for some of these categories. So it might be helpful if you can understand where, okay, so let's say onboarding and implementation services could be actually funded from a different budget category than where software is, that could be, from a different budget group. Also, as part of your exploration into budget, funding and how it all gets done, is seeing if there's any level of grants, rebates, and incentives. Now, not every organization might qualify for this. We've worked with numbers of public organizations over the years that have used ARA funds, if everyone remembers those, various other types of rebate programs and grants to help fund the purchase of EnergyCAP, because it is helping in a lot of areas. So, some of those might be available to you to help with budget justifications. Let's shift gears and talk about overcoming objections. These aren't objections like from you. These would be, you go to pitch this to upper management, and upper management starts firing, as they maybe should, pushing back a little bit, like, oh, you can't just have everything you want. So, what are some questions? And some of this you should maybe try to anticipate. Okay, when you go get approvals for things, what typically do they ask for you? And it might not be objections per se, but it could be questions that you need answered before you could begin to move forward. Some of the common ones we've identified is, okay, well, software is expensive. It's more than free, which is what spreadsheets are, or what maybe portfolio manager is if you're using that to any degree. Why should we spend any money on something? So you might want to think about how to answer that. Like we're okay with spreadsheets. We're doing just fine. Well, maybe some people think that you are, but if you've identified the business need to move to software, you can hopefully create um, some bullet points about how to combat that type of mindset. That spreadsheets are okay. Another one's we don't have the resources, right, for implementation, maybe ongoing management. Um, could be financial resources. So understanding how to come back to that. So some counter strategies for some of these objections. If you could demonstrate fast ROI and then long-term savings. So like if you could pay for the investment real quickly and then say, yeah, and ongoing, we're going to save in these areas, time, uncovering issues, data accuracy, all these things, then great. You should work on putting some concrete numbers together. And again, we have some tools to help. You should outline the opportunity cost of not acting. So continue forward using spreadsheets and operating the way that you are. And maybe someone recently said, now you got to do carbon reporting. We'll start calculating what the cost to add all these items are. Highlight time and cost savings with measurable metrics. Having metrics, having data is very key. I mean, the whole idea of tracking energy data, better, you got to have metrics. You got to have the data, and being able to show real measured results or predicted results is very key. Helping you know justify what you put together through real world case studies, very important. Again, we have a lot that we put together. I'll go through a few of them here towards the end of this, but we have a lot of case studies and success stories we put together. We can always connect you with organizations that have put together success stories and had to do some of these exercises with their management. So please reach out to our team, to get access to those. We post a lot of this on our website, but it's helpful to document and then share with others. So then others can hopefully leverage the success of some organizations. Build a coalition of champions. Really important to work in your organization to build call it a buying team, a purchasing team, an advocate team. If you could get IT, someone from IT and finance, and depending on how you're organized, facilities, sustainability, if you could get one team member from all those divisions like bought into this and working together, man, that is a coalition of champions that is fighting for the greater good of one platform, good data that helps in a lot of areas where these teams need data and need bills to be processed and reviewed and paid. Bring in others, bring in champions. We've seen it before where organizations, we're talking to energy and facilities, and they're like, no way do we bring in finance. Like, just they'll receive bills, we'll get them from them, we'll enter them into EnergyCAP. It's like, yeah, but now you're still doing two processes for bill processing and entry. Like that is not efficient for your organization. And they just felt they couldn't go to finance. I would advocate for go to finance, like talk with them and say, look, how about we could free up a bunch of your time if we streamline the bill entry process? We give you what you need to pay bills, do budgeting, do accruals, all those kinds of functions. And then we get what we need in energy management, but it's one point of entry. We don't have this siloed division of taking utility bills and utility data, and every department, it's a free for all in what they're doing with it. So consider getting buy-in and getting others involved. Also, lastly, present a clear, unified vision for operational excellence. It's not all about the results of analytics and reports in the software. It's about operationally, data flowing, communication, just more efficient operations for utility and sustainability management. A tool that we'd like you to have access to. You can scan this with your phone. We are providing a PowerPoint template that allows you to walk through these major items. So provides an executive summary, why you're advocating and pushing to get software. You can help define current challenges. What is the proposed solution? So info about what you're suggesting, the cost benefit or ROI analysis, a framework to flesh that out and provide details, implementation plan, how are you going to be onboarded and successful? How does this impact stakeholders? What are some risks and how to mitigate risks? And then lastly, some additional tools and templates to help structure a persuasive pitch. So hopefully, if you're considering this, you'll consider downloading this PowerPoint and using this as a framework to starting your business case to present to others. So I hope you all enjoy that. I would be remiss without, really targeting why we think at least EnergyCAP's the best energy management platform. Hopefully you see that, we're at least in it to educate you on a lot of areas. In this case, it's just buying software. It's less about the exact capabilities of EnergyCAP and more about buying energy management software and some tools that we're providing and hopefully, educating you on strategies to go get approvals and to fight to get things done. But if you're making a decision for energy and sustainability software, we really consider, we'd hope you consider looking at EnergyCAP. 10 reasons. One, savings. A lot of areas to save, but definitely spotting problems on bills, finding buildings and areas that can require a little bit more attention that seem to be energy hogs and outliers, savings in time and effort and workflow, all those things. But the goal is to help you with savings. Number two, simplifying processes. Can't speak this enough. Spreadsheets, yeah, they report on data, but they're not really workflow tools. We've built a number of workflow capabilities into our software to route bills for approval, to audit bills and assign problems to users, to add notes and annotations to, activities, auto send reports and dashboards to users, just helping you do your job through technology, not through more work and more hours in the day. Number three, it's a single source of truth. Yeah, this is a concept we really love. It's the central repository of all your energy and sustainability information that others can go to. There's APIs and BI connectors, business intelligence tool connectors to allow you to use the data within the database. The great thing there, if it's the single source of truth, it can then feed everything else. And you know where to go. It's a centralized collection of all your information, which is a really valuable concept. Number four, granular insights. We are constantly adding tools and analytics. We have some new dashboards I was just playing with yesterday with interval data that are really exciting. I'm very much excited about them. We're going to be pushing those out to users in the coming weeks and months. And it's just an example of we're constantly building, adding insights and tooling to help you better analyze your data and make better decisions within your portfolios. Number five, maximize ROI. We want you to get payback very quickly. So some tooling is built in, to spot problems, highlight them, also to, save in the areas we had talked about. So we really want to maximize ROI for you. So there's a clear financial benefit and value in using our application. Number six, enhanced reporting. Um, Providing meaningful reports that are easy to access, that can be auto pushed out to users, really valuable. Another a great use of reporting is through dashboarding. Dashboarding helps tell stories and report KPIs and metrics. The dashboards within our platform, you can easily share with others or embed in websites to make it easy for data accessibility and communication to other stakeholders. Number seven is data accuracy. So insurance that data is accurate, it's financial grade. There's error checking and QA processes built in. So you can have some confidence that what you're reporting on is accurate. Number eight, proactive management. So the proactive capabilities to alert you of problems in real time. Now, that happens on build data, but if you're tracking interval data and that data is flowing in, you can get alerts in real time so you can take action, for demand spikes or, leaks or problem areas within your buildings or equipment malfunction, and you can address those instantly rather than waiting down the road and paying for it on your bill. Number nine, simplified carbon accounting. You're tracking, energy data. We provide a framework where we have a library of conversion factors that get applied to consumption, so you can report your carbon footprint very easily and accurately. And then last is future proofing. So the ability for our application's highly scalable. We're hosting a lot of data. We continue to invest in infrastructure, a lot more scalable than using spreadsheets and other tooling that you might build. So scalability, having SOC 2 compliance and other security compliance capabilities, all those things, just making sure that your data is safe and secure, but also ability to scale so you can do more with it in the future. Okay. I'd like to go through a few real quick examples of customers that have made the leap and got justification. They built ROI studies so they could go get approvals and budget, so they can make the purchase. And then after the fact, they say, well, we should probably look at our data just to ensure that we're savings and things are working out for us. So one of the customers is AFL Global. They're a global manufacturing organization. So they have some challenges where they have sites all over the world that are data in different language, different units of measure and different currencies. All of that comes into EnergyCAP, and they're using EnergyCAP foundationally for energy and sustainability reporting. Some of their results is, they're documenting over 300,000 of annual savings from fixing inefficiencies and automating utility data. So, the real concrete numbers of savings just by adopting software and having better visibility and better processes. They've identified 36 hours on top of the 300,000 that they're able to cut out of labor. So imagine team members, now all of a sudden you basically have a full work week that can be shifted toward other priorities and other projects. So really valuable for them. Great case study there. Another one is a healthcare campus healthcare organization, University of Texas Medical Branch. They are heavily sub-metered. So they are tracking sub-meter data, and they're actually using the sub-meter data to make data-driven decisions. So for them, monthly data just isn't enough. They need to get more granular so they can analyze data better and then work on savings opportunities. And so they've, example for them is they uncovered electric savings from interval data in just one building, which allowed them to save $26,000, really per year. Very substantial, and that's just one building. And So apply that to a number of their other buildings and how they're looking at data and the actionability from the data insights they're getting, receiving a lot of savings. The last type of the last customer, Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade has a ton of facilities, 1,500 facilities, thousands of utility bills from FPL, Florida Power and Light, and some other vendors in the area. They have some fragmented bill approval processes, which we help streamline, where every department has to receive and approve bills. So being able to, get EDI bills in from FPL helps streamline just data collection and entry processes. But then once bills are in, they get routed to the 24 departments, of which they then, stamp a digital approval, and then bills can be flowed to accounting to be paid. Now, you want to talk about changing, some processes and making them more efficient. So think 24 departments getting paper bills, grabbing them, looking at them, approving them, entering them into accounting, and then, working on payment activities. Where now they're getting EDI bills every day. It flows directly into EnergyCAP. EnergyCAP communicates out to the departments, hey, you got 10 bills, go in and approve them. And by the way, they've already been audited by the system. So, they should be good to go. But if not, you can follow up and escalate, and then they do approval. So completely changed the way that they receive, process, approve bills, and made their whole operation a ton more efficient. They also have some other good tidbits where they've found a number of instances where they were being billed incorrectly for meters that the FPL thought were theirs, but they weren't. So just by setting up data, really well organized within the database instead of in spreadsheets, help them uncover wait a minute, this building, it's not our building. That address isn't ours. And they were able to go and turn those off and recoup some dollars for just accounts that they were paying and really did not realize they were not theirs. It can be embarrassing when that's the case. We have tons of customer examples where that's the case. One of our customers says all the time, go out to your buildings, physically look at the meter and see if it's yours. Because as your business grows and changes and buildings are, brought up online and taken down and decommissioned and things like that, you never know what you might be getting billed for that you don't even own or operate or lease, that accounting's paying for, not because they meant to, but just no one told them to turn it off. So having all this visibility within EnergyCAP is really helpful for those types of problems. Another code, QR code we'd like for you to scan. This one is just helping you build the business case. So everything we just went through, including the PowerPoint template, you can scan this, download it. Hopefully this is a great resource and guide for you to provide some tooling to build the business case, to get approval so you can buy the software. That will conclude us today. I do have just two more quick polls that we'd like to ask, and this is more feedback for us. But hopefully the content was helpful for you and relevant. We understand that it can be difficult to start building a business case. We want to help you. We want to provide tools. Hopefully it's with us and you want to move forward with EnergyCAP. But, honestly, if it's with someone else, or even if it's a different application altogether, it's a fleet management software, the framework that we outlined today, we hope that you leverage to your benefit. So appreciate you answering this question. One more question that we'll ask is just if you're interested in learning more about EnergyCAP. You can raise your hand and self-identify, and our team would be very happy to follow up with you and talk about your needs and go through business case with you. If now's not the time, then that's okay. We're around. You know how to find us, and we're going to continue providing webinars and other materials that you can use to your advantage. So really appreciate